How hard could it be to see his girlfriend? Cole had to offer up 1,000 years worth of his most precious possessions, and even then, he had to endure the mocking and torment of girls who were 1,000 years younger than him. Cole brought out every dark magic artifact he had ever invented, pleading with the Harvest Witches for a chance to see Davina, but the witches not only rejected his offer, they ruthlessly snapped Cole's neck and took all of his dark magic items without a second thought. Today was yet another day of heartache for Rebecca. Marcel managed to get his hands on the final white oak stake, only for Rebecca to snatch it away from him. Marcel was so desperate to get the stake back that he even considered attacking Rebecca, but Klaus intervened just in time, pushing him away. Klaus asked Marcel if he was planning another act of treachery, but Marcel explained that the magic on the white oak stake could save someone he deeply cared about.
What's her name?
Rebecca quickly understood. Seeing his sister's sorrowful expression, Klaus wisely chose to remain silent. Rebecca also said nothing, waiting for Marcel's response.
Her name is Sophia.
There was a time when you'd have gone to these lengths for me.
Rebecca handed the white oak stake to Marcel, and though Klaus tried to stop her, Marcel promised to destroy the stake in due time, then vanished without hesitation, leaving a heartbroken Rebecca and her brother in a wordless standoff. But Rebecca's most difficult choice was yet to come. Freya had successfully repaired Elijah's soul, but reviving him still required immense power. The best option was to kill the Hollow and resurrect Elijah, but the Hollow was unkillable. Freya couldn't help but remind her sister.
But if we have to choose between Marcel and Elijah, it's not a choice.
Rebecca understood what her sister was implying, and once again, her relationship with Marcel faced an even greater trial. Seeing Rebecca also left Marcel in a gloomy state of mind. His new love had almost sacrificed her life for him, and his true love clearly still had feelings for him, but his confrontation with the Hollow made Marcel realize that they would need to unite all their power, or else they would be left with no choice but to face certain death. Cole was at the witches' cemetery, making a phone call to Rebecca. Rebecca had decided to stay in New Orleans. Heartbroken over not being able to see Davina, Cole was ready to set off on another world tour, but just then, the Hollow appeared before him without a sound, offering to bring Davina back to life. The Hollow slashed her own palm with a knife, and the cemetery was suddenly filled with the sound of a girl's screams. Davina was finally resurrected. After years apart, the couple reunited, their love for each other as strong as ever. Perhaps this is the greatest romance the world has ever known. But when the Hollow bound Davina's life to her own, Cole was forced to obey her every command. Hope gazed out the window with a furrowed brow, while Klaus looked on with concern at his youngest daughter. Hope spoke up, saying that the Hollow had drained the life from the city, and she feared that the Hollow would soon come after all of them. Klaus comforted his daughter with warm, reassuring words.
But over the years, a lot of bad people have stood against our family, and all of them have fallen. The Hollow is no different.
No, she is different.
Haley was alone, keeping vigil beside Elijah. When the sound of something cracking caught her attention, she turned to see the blue pendant hanging nearby, now showing tiny fractures. As if it were an ominous sign, Haley brought the pendant to Freya. Freya confirmed her suspicions. The pendant was on the verge of being unable to contain Elijah's soul. They had to revive Elijah tonight, or he would be lost forever. Freya ventures a guess that Haley's blood is not lethal to the Hollow because Haley is already dead. Now, the Hollow and Hope were the last of the Crescent Wolf bloodline. The snake on the sigil, with its head and tail connected, might suggest that only Hope's blood can kill the Hollow. Klaus was unwilling to involve his daughter, but Freya insisted that they had no other choice. Freya cast a locator spell on the map, allowing them to track the Hollow's magic in real time. A large sigil appeared on the map. Freya stated that this was the Hollow's location, but soon, a smaller sigil appeared on the other side of the map. Freya quickly recognized it as a protection spell, designed to keep the Hollow safe while enhancing her powers through the totem. Freya pointed out that to kill the Hollow, they would first need to destroy her protection spell. Rebecca volunteered to take the map, saying she would find Cole and accomplish this mission together. Rebecca arrived alone at a small cabin in the woods, but Cole was late. Rebecca decided to venture in by herself, but Marcel stopped her, insisting that he would go with her. They entered the cabin together. Suddenly, Cole appeared, saying that the totem wasn't here. Rebecca refused to believe him and pulled out the map to check. The map still showed that the totem's power source was in this very place. Marcel wanted to keep searching, but an invisible force suddenly trapped him in place. Rebecca quickly realized that Cole had used a dark magic artifact to imprison them. Cole, being blackmailed by the Hollow with his girlfriend's life, had no other choice. Rebecca didn't understand Cole's intentions. Cole offered no further explanation and disappeared before their eyes. Davina held Anada's protection totem in her hands. Torn with indecision, she urged Cole to destroy it, but Cole refused to risk losing his girlfriend again. Davina remembered that Elijah had once taught her a spell to break curses, successfully severing the link between Haley and Sophie. Cole mentioned that he knew the spell and only needed a powerful young witch to help him. Before leaving, Cole handed the car keys to Davina, telling her that if he didn't return by midnight, it likely meant his brother had taken care of him, and she should leave New Orleans alone. As time ticked by, Rebecca finally couldn't take it anymore. Worried about Elijah's safety, she pulled out a lighter and suggested they just burn the house down. While they were discussing, Klaus appeared just in time. He had come to check if his sister was in trouble, only to discover that Cole had once again betrayed the family. Rebecca pulled out the witch's map and found that Cole had taken the protection totem back home. Klaus suddenly remembered that Hope was home alone and left in a hurry. Marcel hesitated no longer. He punched through the cabin floor, revealing the gas line beneath it. They ignited the gas line, and the flame shot up into the sky as the explosion echoed through the night. The sound of fire trucks rushing to the scene soon followed. Marcel and Rebecca walked through the streets, their clothes tattered and singed. They recounted the damage they'd done to each other. Rebecca accused Marcel of constantly hurting her family. Marcel countered that Rebecca could never see the pain her family caused him. They vowed to forget each other, but the moment their eyes met, all the hatred and misunderstandings melted away. Cole, holding a knotted rope, found his young niece, hoping she could break the link between the Hollow and Davina, but Hope had heard rumors about her unreliable uncle.
So why did you go away?
I went away because I was sad.
Still, Cole's words moved Hope, and she picked up the knotted rope. Cole watched his niece with a sense of relief. Freya and Haley, armed with a dagger, ventured into enemy territory. The dagger was coated with Hope's blood, the only weapon capable of killing the Hollow. But as soon as they pushed the door open, Freya was thrown back and knocked unconscious. Haley came face to face with the Hollow, but before she could utter a single word, the Hollow snapped her neck with a single move. Haley woke up in the warmth of a setting sun. Jackson opened the door of the cabin. The couple seemed to be back in their loving days in the bayou. Haley was confused about what was happening, but Jackson told her that this was her mind's self-defense mechanism. Freya also awoke from her unconscious state. Still in the mansion littered with corpses, she searched for Haley. Freya soon spotted Keelan lying dead on the ground. She rushed over, trying to wake her girlfriend, but then suddenly realized that Keelan shouldn't be here. It was an illusion crafted by the Hollow. The fake Keelan stopped pretending and awoke. Haley still believed she was in a dream world, trying to find a way to wake herself up, but Jackson's behavior made Haley suspicious, and she realized that the Jackson before her was just a puppet of the Hollow's enchantment. Without hesitation, she tore out his heart. Haley awoke from her unconscious state to find herself tied to a chair. She struggled to break free, trying to find a way to escape the cabin, but Jackson appeared before her once again. Haley thought that illusions couldn't hurt her, but Jackson told her she was underestimating the Hollow's power. Then, he drove a dagger into her body. Hope learned that untying the knot would save her uncle's girlfriend.
And you really love her?
Yes. I like your mom loves,
Uncle Elijah.
Cole couldn't help but admire this clever girl. Hope removed the bracelet of intent and carefully studied the spell to break the curse. Haley struggled to pull the dagger out of her chest, while the Jackson conjured by the Hollow continued to torment her with cruel arrogance. Freya was trapped outside the cabin, unable to open the door. The Hollow's version of Keelan kept trying to seduce her. Hope is still concentrating on her mantra, but Klaus had already returned to the mansion, and Cole had to go outside to stall his brother. The two began to fight without a word. Cole told his brother that everything he was doing was to protect Davina, but this did nothing to lessen Klaus's fury. Cole began to lose ground. The Hollow's protection spell totem rolls to the side, and Klaus crushes it with his foot. With the disappearance of the protection spell, the illusion tormenting Haley vanished into thin air. Freya also manages to open the cabin, and she and Haley are safe. They barely had time to catch their breath before grabbing the dagger, ready to face the Hollow in a final battle. Klaus pulled out the dagger meant to seal his brother. Cole urgently pleaded with Klaus to at least let him ensure that Davina was still alive, but Klaus remained unmoved. The dagger was about to pierce Cole's heart.
What if it was Camille? What if you could bring her back?
Klaus hesitated. Meanwhile, Josh was still busy at the bar when the resurrected Davina quietly appeared before him, giving him a huge surprise. Davina thanked Josh for all those years of visiting her grave and talking to her. The long-lost friends embraced each other tightly. As midnight approached, they anxiously waited together for Cole. Fortunately, Cole didn't disappoint and appeared safely before Davina. The star-crossed couple had finally won their freedom. Under the gentle night sky, they drove away from the danger-laden city. Hope held the knotted rope, reciting the spell. The next moment, the knot began to float in the air. At the same time, the hollow began chanting her own spell. The white liquid in the salt bowl gradually turned red, and a satisfied smile spread across the hollow's face. She picked up the bowl and slowly drank the liquid. The knot in Hope's hand also began to loosen. After swallowing the potion, the hollow gestured, and Haley was thrown to the ground, the dagger slipping from her hand. The hollow continued to attack Haley, unaware that Freya had entered the room. A silver needle pierced the hollow's neck. The hollow was forced to break her concentration and interrupt the spell to pull out the silver needle. Haley seized the opportunity and drove the dagger into her body. The knot in Hope's hand gradually unraveled. Haley repeatedly plunged the dagger into the hollow's body. The hollow collapsed, dead, and Hope fell to the ground, drained of her magic. Hope slowly regained consciousness and got up. The door to the room eerily closed on its own, and a blue light appeared in Hope's room. A sense of foreboding washed over Hope. Freya hung the blue pendant on a lamp and began preparing the spell to awaken Elijah. Klaus arrived to witness the moment of his brother's revival, but Haley couldn't bring herself to face Elijah. Instead, she went alone to the bayou to mourn her late husband. In the twilight, she realized the depth of her feelings for Elijah. Freya and Klaus held hands, and Freya began chanting the spell. The blue pendant emitted a faint glow. Elijah's face slowly regained its color, and he gradually opened his eyes. Vincent, who had been missing for some time, was trapped within a magic circle, exploring the secrets of the Hollow's journal. As he chanted a spell in the city, his consciousness entered a mysterious realm. The jungle was dim, and a small hut sheltered Inadu's mother. After hesitating, Vincent stepped into the hut, but a group of unwelcome visitors interrupted Vincent's spell in the cemetery. The witches had come under the Hollow's orders to retrieve the journal. Vincent vowed to resist to the death, but the witches showed no mercy. Vincent swiftly took down two enemies, but a witch ambushed him from behind. The witch successfully knocked Vincent down, grabbed the journal, and quickly fled. Hope was unusually staring at the mirror in a daze when her father entered, asking why she wasn't asleep yet. Hope replied that she was waiting for Uncle Elijah to wake up. Klaus carried his daughter to her little bed, tucked her in, and promised that they would see Uncle Elijah in the morning. Thinking they had finally dealt with the Hollow, Klaus was in a great mood. Unaware that Hope's eyes had turned blue under the covers, she was possessed by the Hollow. Having resolved the family crisis, Freya brought coffee to her girlfriend's clinic. The Hollow's visions make her realize how valuable the people around her are. Freya no longer avoided her feelings for Keelan and no longer saw her as a burden. The look they exchanged said everything, making words unnecessary. They had finally broken free from the constraints of society and the bonds of family obligations, sharing a romantic and beautiful morning together. How long does it take for a mother to notice something wrong with her daughter? The answer is just an instant. Hope's attitude towards her mother was unusually cold, and she refused to pick up her paintbrush as she usually did. Haley picked up a hairbrush, gently brushed her daughter's hair, and spoke to her softly, but Hope wouldn't even talk to her mom. Haley thought her daughter was still worried about the Hollow, so she reassured her that the Hollow had been killed. Haley made their usual mother-daughter gesture, but Hope simply stared blankly, not understanding her mother's intent. Instead, she coldly asked her mom to leave the room. Haley decided to talk to Klaus, but he was busy dealing with Marcel, discussing the family's future. Ignoring Haley's request, he left. Haley and Elijah stand alone in the doorway looking at each other without knowing what to say. After a long silence, Haley walked away alone. Elijah was left behind, eyes red, on the verge of tears. The Originals brothers found Vincent and were shocked to learn that the Hollow was still alive. They had only killed the Hollow's body, and her soul was supposed to be imprisoned by the ancestral witches, but now it was inexplicably missing. Klaus couldn't accept this reality, but Vincent said there was only one person who knew how to kill the Hollow, and that was the Hollow's mother. He needed the Originals brothers to retrieve the journal so he could continue his communication with the Hollow's mother in the otherworld. Haley stood alone on the balcony, lost in thought. Rebecca assumed she was worried about her relationship with Elijah, saying that her brother's feelings for her were actually simple, but Haley said she was only afraid that Hope would see the cruel and bloody side of him, and even more afraid that her daughter would realize she didn't really care about Elijah's dark side. All of her hesitation was for Hope's sake. Rebecca could only pat Haley's hand in comfort, but Haley quickly received a text informing her that the Hollow was still alive. Freya excitedly returned home, eager to share her emotional breakthrough with the family. But Haley, full of worry, took out Hope's hairbrush and asked her to analyze the source of the magic on it. Freya closed her eyes and chanted a spell, quickly coming to a conclusion.
It's the Hollow's magic.
Something had gone wrong. The Hollow had taken over Hope's body, the very outcome Haley had feared most. The possessed Hope removed the bracelet that suppressed her magic and threw it into the fire. But Rebecca happened to see this. Hope explained that wearing the bracelet meant she couldn't protect her family. Rebecca reassured her niece that the Hollow had been destroyed and that nothing in this world could defeat their family.
Well, there's one thing.
Rebecca didn't understand what Hope meant. However, the possessed Hope controlled the wood from the picture frame and drove it directly into Rebecca's body. Rebecca never imagined that the little girl she had raised would one day be the one to try to kill her.